Silent Hill 2 from 2001 is considered one of the best games of all time. It is a horror timeless classic, and it is just amazing the way they weave the story, the characters, the world, and they mix it into a game that for its time was also very advanced, and the tension was just everywhere. I feel like this was the game that defined Silent Hill, and everything after that was compared to Silent Hill 2. And it also became an inspiration for so many other horror properties, writers, and it's been cited so many times, including by Guillermo del Toro and other famous figures. So it was very obvious that remaking the game is going to be a very, very big task. To put it frankly, Silent Hill 2 is just a game that many people are attached to for all the right reasons. So a lot of horror fans, Silent Hill fans were worried about the game, like how it was going to come out. Ever since it was announced, people were skeptical, especially since the publisher, Bloober Team, made some decent games, like not something very great. And also with Konami's just like hideous track record over the last couple of years since they canceled PT. And they've been releasing crap like Silent Hill Ascension, which we just do not talk about that game anymore.
Watch together as the chilling story unfolds. You can change its outcomes and even be a part of scenes.
Now that you mention it, I have seen some strange things out in these woods.
It was obvious that people were going to be worried, and I think people take it to an extreme. There was a lot of negativity, but finally the game has come out, so we can just make our opinion by actually playing the game. And I have to say, man, the game is a masterpiece. The Silent Hill 2 remake is just absolutely gold from beginning to end. It is the same story, the same probably beats, but just expanded in so many ways. And there's quite a bit of differences, which I'm going to talk in a separate video. But this game, from beginning to end, it was such a great experience that I have finished it in one sitting. All 15 hours, I sat down with hard mode and just completely went through each stage of the game. And I have to say that I was so mesmerized, even with 6 hours of sleep the night before, and then I stayed up until 5 in the morning the next day. I could not stop the game. I wanted to see what happens. Even though I already know the story, I know what was going to happen, I had a good ending. I really had to finish this game in one night. And everybody agrees, critics and the public alike, this is a golden child for gaming, and it's going to define horror for the next couple of years. And I'm just absolutely happy that we're getting a lot of these amazing remakes, for example, Resident Evil, Dead Space. We've been getting so many amazing games, and I hope this trend continues. These games continue to be successful, so we get more original horror properties in the future. So anyways, I think I've talked enough about the context surrounding Silent Hill, so let's get straight into the game, because I want to go over a lot of things, and obviously go deeper in a couple more videos. I want to talk about the philosophy of the game especially, but let's just focus on the technical aspects, on what the game offers, and why it's worth buying. So like I said before, Silent Hill 2 follows the story of James Sunderland, who receives a letter from his dead wife, Mary. So obviously he's perplexed. He has to go find out why she sent that letter, and if it even is real. So that's the initial mystery. He arrives at the town, Silent Hill, which I appreciate that this is a standalone story. You don't have to play the first one to get it. But from the very beginning you get there, things seem very off. From the fog surrounding the town, the creepy noises, when you start arriving to the town, you meet some people that you don't know what's going on, and then from there the mystery starts unraveling. So the story, without spoiling much, I'm probably going to spoil, so I'm going to put the spoiler alert right here, but from the beginning towards the end, there's a lot of things that are just very unsettling. And as the hours go by, you meet new characters, you start exploring the different areas, and the mystery starts unraveling, so you're wondering like, what's going on here? What is going to happen next? Why should I go into this hospital? Why are all these hideous monsters roaming around? So each one of these mysteries lead to the next, and I have to say that by the end, it just goes completely off the rails. This is one of those games that is a slow burn from the next scene to the next scene to the next area, and then towards the end, it's just like a complete madness. So anyways, I'm going to start spoiling now. So you meet this monster, Pyramid Head, which is who is iconic for the series. And you're starting to wonder like, Jesus, what is this monster? What does he want? Why does he try to kill me? And then as you unravel the story, you realize, oh my god, he is a manifestation of James's guilt, the main character. And the way that he deals with this monster is just completely insane, especially towards the end where you go into some really dark underground areas. Everything starts shifting. You don't know what's real, what's not. Like the rooms start, like everything just becomes like this like rust colored horrifying place that you don't know why it became that way. You don't know if there's something supernatural, if it's all in James's head, which, if you played Silent Hill 1 and 3, you know that it's all supernatural, but it makes you wonder how it ties into the second game. But I think one of the best things about Silent Hill 2, both original and remake, is just the beauty of the game. Like this is one of those horror games that, yeah, of course, it's horrifying, it's unsettling, it's very, like, the monsters and everything, the themes just get your skin crawling, but it deals with so many important things of the human psyche that it just makes it beautiful in a way. And I think that's one of the main reasons why people love this game so much, because it deals with those like hard topics, especially, yeah, it deals with some really hard stuff, especially with characters like Angela, with Eddie, and like especially James's wife too. Like there's a lot of like really dark stuff there, but the softer moments with Akira Yamaoka's amazing soundtrack, that's something I want to go into later. It just like adds that layer of beauty, that of calmness when you're walking through the town. There's especially some parts in the remake that are just not in the original, where you arrive to places like Brookhaven Hospital, for example, where there's just like this like light breeze going through like the windows, and there's this lighting that is kind of like makes you feel like the danger has passed, at least momentarily. I feel like those moments coupled with the music is what makes Silent Hill 2. And I think those beautiful moments from the second one and the way they mix with your psyche while playing it are just amazing in the remake. Like especially with the graphics, I feel like Bloober Team and Konami did a great job with that aspect. They just completely nailed the feeling that Silent Hill 2 tries to give you from beginning to end. And that's something I really appreciate. That's one of the things I enjoy the most about this. And it makes it one of my favorite horror games of all time for that reason. And especially like if you play games like The Last of Us, even though there's a lot of zombies, action, horrifying moments, you understand that there's like those, I gotta say, lighter, more human moments and horror properties are what make it like more connected to your feelings. And that's something that like not many horror movies do. It's just like scare from scare. And this one just deals with those more human characteristics of the human soul. And I just absolutely love that. So yeah, the vibes are just off the charts, and coupled with that is Akira Yamaoka's soundtrack. I feel like he's amazing. He's one of my favorite musicians of all time. He's made some really great soundtracks, and he made the original Silent Hill 2 soundtrack and updated that for the remake. So yeah, he's just a master at everything he does. I love him so much, and this one is just no different. I feel like the soundtrack in Silent Hill 2 Remake, like a lot of the tracks are updated, they're the same songs, which is amazing. You can't really master perfection. But there's a lot of new tracks that I've been enjoying a lot, especially the piano song in the original trailer, which plays several times throughout the story.
In my restless dreams, I see that town.
I just absolutely love it. And yeah, I had to mention Akira Yamaoka's great soundtrack, because I feel like that's another just addition to the game that makes it from perfect to even more perfect. So before I continue with some of the other themes of the game, I want to go into the gameplay, because that is an aspect of Silent Hill 2 Remake that worried a lot of people. Is the gameplay going to be good? Because obviously you can have the same story, like it's going to be really hard to change a story that's already pre-established. But if you don't adapt the game to the modern era, it's going to be bad. But I have to say, the gameplay was amazing. I have no complaints on the gameplay. People compared it to Resident Evil, but I gotta say that it's very different, because Resident Evil focused a lot on the action. Like, for example, Leon has a lot of weapons. He is pretty much armed to the teeth. So he goes through villages of monsters, destroying them, especially also with Ethan Winters in 7 and 8. And even though that's more survival horror oriented, I feel like especially Resident Evil 8 had a lot more action than Silent Hill 2, but this one, it's more centered on survival. This game really puts the survival in survival horror. Like, the ammo is limited. You only get 3 weapons, 4 if you do New Game Plus. The handgun, the shotgun, and the rifle. And you have very scarce ammo, and especially, well, I played it in hard mode because I'm already used to hard modes. But there were moments in the game where I actually had to think that, geez, if I like spend my bullets now, I'm not gonna be able to defend myself. So I was left with the option of just running across the, whatever area area I was, to avoid monsters by running and risk my life instead of killing them, because I had to save ammo for later. So I feel like those aspects are great. I feel like a lot of horror games forgot that survival aspect of survival horror, especially Dead Space, which, don't get me wrong, they're great games, Dead Space and Resident Evil 4, for example, like some recent examples. But you also need that, you also need to feel scared. You need to fear for your life and understand that every move, every bullet counts, and that's something that I missed from classic horror games. And a lot of people also complain about the sound design and some other aspects, like like the gunshots, that how you move, how you like, for example, melee attack enemies, And I have to say it's great. I feel like the only game that for me that was kind of bad in that respect was the Callisto Protocol 2 years ago. So I was very worried that Silent Hill 2 was going to have, for example, melee combat similar to Callisto, which I thought was just annoying and I felt like it was going to happen. But at the end of the day, that didn't happen. I feel like Silent Hill 2 Remake did a great job with the, the melee combat, with the movements. It felt very fluid. It felt like a very, basically like a AAA modern game, and that's something I really appreciate. So I feel like that was just my main worry, is just the technical aspect, because you can have a great story like Silent Hill 2, but you have a crappy base behind it, then it was going to affect the final product. And I have to say that that didn't happen, luckily. So yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of the aspects of the game. It really lived up to my expectations and even surpassed them. I have to say this game is much better than the original. I feel I want to talk more about it, for example, in another video, like the main differences between Silent Hill 2 Original and Silent Hill 2 Remake. But for now, I have to say one of the main things is like the characters are more expressive. For example, even the protagonist, James, in the original, they feel more or less like robots.
Sorry. I was confused.
Where are you going?
I'm looking for Mary. Have you seen her?
Like, especially, well, it was 2001. You can't really blame the developers for that. It's just like the limitations of the time. But here, everything feels more expressive when they... I mean, there's some weird parts in the remake. It doesn't feel like, Death Stranding levels of motion capture or The Last of Us Part 2 levels of motion capture. But there's more humanity between the expressions in James's like voice, and for example, even the sounds he does when he hits monsters. There's like some actual like painful screaming when he, like desperation when he hits a monster. And I feel like that humanity in these characters is just something really great from the remake. So yeah, everything is amazing. I have no complaints. I'm still recovering from the game. It's just 15 hours straight, especially I spent an hour on the final boss. I did not expect it to be that hard, but it was just an amazing experience from beginning to end. I highly recommend playing it on hard, and definitely I want to replay it again, maybe speedrun it on hard mode and everything, but yeah, it just surpassed my expectations. Highly recommend Silent Hill 2 Remake, and as a final score, I'm going to give it 100 out of 100. Yes, it joins the 100% club in my list. I have no complaints. I thought it was going to be maybe like a 95, and maybe it wouldn't be like the original, but I feel like it surpasses the original. And one final thing I have to mention is that I feel like the emotional moments, like the ending of the game, is much more impactful like in the original. For example, I knew the story, I knew how it was going to end. Well, at least one of the 8 endings. I feel I still have to go over all the other endings, but this one, just the final scenes in Silent Hill 2 Remake, I don't know, but they tugged at my heartstrings. Like especially the relationship he has with his wife Mary. I feel like it just, I don't know, there's something hit me hard, and it's hard to say, but it relates to the point from before that this game and other horror games just appreciate that part of like the unsettling aspects and then the emotional aspects. I feel like, especially combined with the soundtrack, the sunset in the final area where James is exiting the hotel. I don't know, there's something about that. It just really affected me on a deep level. And yeah, that's pretty much my final thought. But yeah, anyways, 100 out of 100. Perfect game. Go play it. It's right here. Silent Hill 2 Remake. And I put the original there. I don't know which is left and right. But yeah, an amazing game. Highly recommend it. And yeah, those are pretty much all my thoughts. So go play it right now. It's in order.